Welcome, everyone. This is the 10th edition of the Näck Talk. My name is Partha Varanashi. I am aquatic educator, molecular biologist, and an aspiring polyathlete. And today I have Swetha Devaraj with me. She's a master trainer for animal flow in India. She's also a vascular radiologist and a co-founder of Sweaty Ninjas. And it's exciting to have you, Swetha, for this talk.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm
And
excited too.
just wanted to, want everyone to know, how did you get into your fitness journey? How did it start? And how did you get into animal flow? Where did that all begin for you? Could you uh,
Yeah.
tell us more about it?
Yeah. Well, fitness has always been a part of my life. As a kid, I grew up playing a lot of sports, whether my parents wanted it or not. I was in school sports, and then growing up, I just really got serious about tennis, and I played professional tennis till I left the country about 18 years old, and then I got recruited to play college tennis in the US. We would have tennis matches 2-3 times in a week. At the same time, be able to maintain the grades, and so it was like a hectic athlete life. And then once I finished the college sports, I got deep into CrossFit, running long distance, and they say once an athlete, always an athlete. So I'm also somebody who's always very curious about fitness. So I just kept exploring. So one thing led to another. I really found out that I'm very passionate about running. So I really got serious about running. Started competing everywhere in India, outside of India, because I'm naturally strong in the upper body as a tennis player. I really enjoyed racing in obstacle courses, so that happened a lot. And coming from a CrossFit background, it was just a lot of fun competing. And then at some point, I injured myself running one of the races. My ankle was injured, so I wasn't really sure what I could do. But then, I'm such an active person, and I couldn't really sit still. I still had to find a way to move my body and get some sort of exercise. And at that time is when I was introduced to animal flow. My business partner Devaraj, he was also practicing animal flow, and he said, "Let me teach you." And that's when I first started exploring animal flow. And animal flow is something. It's a body weight, ground-based body weight movement training. So you don't really need an equipment to or a gym setup or anything. You can just move anywhere as long as you know the movements, as long as you know what you're doing. It can be like 1 minute, it can be 2 minutes, it can be 2 hours. So I was just exploring more and more and more. And I got really into it by just practicing it on a regular basis. And not only my ankle got better, faster, at the same time, I felt like I was running a marathon. And at the same time, I felt like I was getting into a meditative state, because all you are doing is focusing on your breath, and you're trying to navigate the floor by moving your body around your arms, as opposed to moving an object from one place to another, which is how working out is, which I really enjoy as well. But then this was a different motor task for my central nervous system, or a different challenge for my body and my mind.
In your opinion, how is animal flow different to other sports or other exercises that we do, other type of training that we do? Would like to hear from you.
The most number of sensory receptors are in our palms and our feet. When we are moving and coming in contact with the ground, which is proprioceptively super rich, there is a lot of information coming all the way to the hands and feet, and all the way to the motor control unit of the central nervous system. So when that much stimulus is there, it is very hard to tune out. For example, when we are trying to move our body around the arms, right? Or if I'm inverted, let's say, it is very hard for me to be tuned out and not focus on what else is happening around me, as opposed to just lifting an object from one place, or like doing some sort of weight training. I mean, even just weight training also, you need to focus a lot. But then here the challenge is a little bit more, where you need to tune in a little into what is happening and how you're moving your body. So which is why movement training, any movement training, doesn't have to be animal flow, even yoga for that matter. People say, do more of yoga, you will improve your focus and things like that. So it's a similar thing in animal flow as well. So that's one of the best parts, which I personally experienced as well, because I'm somebody who can't be focused at one thing. But then there are a couple of things that helps me have that attention span. One is running, and the other one is actually animal flow. So it has really helped me with my ADHD, and I know a lot of people use it as well. Even when you watch someone doing animal flow, you'll feel like, oh, it looks amazing and so cool. I probably want to learn it as well and just look cool like that. But then in the workshops, when people attend the workshops, they're blown away because every single movement has science behind it. We talk about the anterior chain, we talk about the posterior chain, we talk about how we load the anterior oblique sling chain. If the anterior oblique sling chain is elongated or stretched, how your posterior oblique sling chain is contracted, which is very important again for athletes to focus on these things, or even trainers. When, for example, if you're doing deadlift is a push and pull movement. Most of the time we think about it as, oh, you're just lifting one object from ground up, right? Then it is also, there's one force going down and one force going up. Deadlift is a posterior chain dominant movement. If you want to use an antagonist movement or a complementary movement to deadlifts, there's something called front step, which works your anterior oblique sling chain, and at the same time the posterior oblique sling chain is contracted. So you can use it in so many different ways. And I know you're a fan of something called wave unload, and you use it for your swimmers a lot. And it's a complete spine mobilization that helps your swimmers to do better, especially I think in breaststroke, right? So things like that. There's different ways to use animal flow for different people or athletes from different backgrounds. So I think these are some of the differences. That you can say, okay, this is how it's special or unique compared to other movement training.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yes, the wave unload, I wanted that for our breaststrokers who would keep the body position really high, and you are in touch with the water with the hands and then the legs. Like that's the two basic propulsive parts of the body, and the rest of it just glides on top of the water. But with this wave, when I saw you guys do wave unload, I'm like, yeah, we're coming from animal flow. To keep the torso above the water, you can kind of slightly gently put the pressure on the palm, which is riding on the surface of the water, and lift the midsection of the body up through this palm. So I thought that was incredible. And then, yeah, the other things like you explained. Yes.
Sorry to cut you, but it's so nice that as a coach you see that. It takes, special individuals and specialized for people to put things together and pick that up and use it on athletes, right? And I think you are probably one of the very few ones, or probably the first ones I saw that saw animal flow and used it, because like you said, for breaststrokers, it's important for them to be above the surface level, and that makes me think about the protraction or the flexion wave that we do in wave and load, which is so it's complementary to the stroke. So it's nice that you connect the dots like that.
One of the other things I wanted to ask is, how does exercise, in your opinion, as a fitness enthusiast, trainer, and an enthusiast as well, for women, how does the training changes from say the age between 20 to 30, and then 30 to 30 and above? Do you recommend them to train differently, or is it the same? Or if it's differently, why so? Could you shed some light on that?
Yeah. So I mean, as we progress in age, I don't want to say aging, we do need to modify in the way we train, but it should never sort of stop or reduce. You can change the intensity of it, but I definitely recommend everybody, including women, at all age groups to include strength training. The intensity of it can change. For example, if you're somebody who has done some sort of weight training in your 20s, you don't have to bring it down. You can keep progressing. Uh, a sign of aging is not something that you have to stop doing what you're doing. I know a lot of women think that, okay, I'm getting older now. I should probably stop lifting weights. I should probably run less or not do HIIT and things like that. I really don't believe in that at all. Like if you're walking, then start jogging. If you are getting into body weight training, start lifting weights. But then, you have to be intuitive about what your body can take, and maybe stick to, if somebody is lifting 50 kgs, it doesn't mean that you have to go and think about lifting 50 kgs from day one. You can progress. You can start slow and you can slowly and gradually increase it. Maybe I won't do weight training or go hard every single day, like not 100%. Maybe I do it 2 times a week or 3 times a week. And the rest of the times, every other day is focused on recovery, is focused on mobility, is focused on just, active rest and things like that. So these are the things that I usually recommend women to, focus on, rather than not do something or stop doing something, but definitely start incorporating, whether you are in 30s, 40s, or 50s, incorporate weight training, because it's so important for your bones, your muscles, your mobility, all of these things, and progress from there what your body can take. For sure, men with their hormones, it's a straightforward thing. You guys have like one main hormone which is happening every 2 hours, which is testosterone. And for women, it's every week we have different hormones. So the only thing that should change is the way we eat.
What are your thoughts on the supplements? Are there like a bunch of go-to supplements that you have? What are the results you look for? And how does it affect your body? Would you like to say a few things about that? Love to hear that.
Yeah, I think this is my favorite topic also. I'm a geek about like I love science, and honestly, there are some really innovative, cutting edge, groundbreaking brands these days that are taking the scientific approach, focusing on supporting the body's ability to self regulate rather than overriding the regulatory system with chemicals designed to move all these biomarkers in a particular direction. And that blows my mind. And I know you will, this because you grow cacao. And something as simple as cacao, and people don't know this. Not everybody know about this, right? Cacao is so amazing, and it has something called the EGCG. Every time I try to say the full form of it, I have a hard time, but I'm going to attempt it. EGCG stands for epigallocatechin gallate, and it's a type of I know it's a type of polyphenols for people who haven't heard about it, and it's so rich in antioxidant, and it reduces inflammation. So good for overall health. And I think it's in Peru. The cacao in Peru is like, so correct me if I'm wrong. It's very popular because of the quality or the potency of it. And I know some of the brands that I have been doing research about take these elements or the compounds and they create supplements out of it. That's what I'm very curious about. And I feel like there is a huge misconception about supplementation these days. Everyone thinks it's all about stimulants, it's all about chemicals that are not good for our bodies and things like that, which is why I mentioned about nowadays science and technology is so amazing. And I'll support anything that uses natural products, like extracting from cacao, for example, or taking turmeric or extracting curcumin out of it and using it as anti-inflammatory, or using CoQ10, which is a coenzyme which helps your cells helps from the cellular point of view for athletes or anyone to perform better. Or, for example, some of the nootropics, right? Some things that improve your cognitive functions. it could be as simple as acetyl L-carnitine, which is already produced in our bodies, and you supplement a little bit more from a good source that helps you to boost your brain power. So these are the things that I really like to geek out about. So I'm a fan, but at the same time, you should really know where these supplements are sourced from, and the ethics. What are they trying to mix with it? All of these things, and some of the supplements that I try to use are definitely the protein powder, because you said high performance athletes. I try to get that from my food sources, and I sometimes fail to do that, and then I don't really take whey protein. It doesn't suit my body, although there are some really amazing brands now, and Näck has whey protein as well, which didn't really give me any kind of discomfort, which I used to feel before. But I still prefer using a plant-based protein. That is my go-to supplement. And I do use electrolytes. Again, Näck has released their new ones, and I love it. Otherwise, I just use pink salt as well. I think electrolyte imbalance is a big thing that people are not aware of, because our soil is depleted, water is not as pure, air is not as pure. So there's a lot of mineral deficiency in all of us, which we don't realize. And we have all these fluctuations in how the energy system is inside our bodies, right? So even when I train clients, if they mention some of the things, all I do is just add pink salt into your water and see if it makes any difference. And it does. So it shows that these vitamins and minerals play a key role. So these are the things that I usually pay attention to. So I'm a fan of supplements, but at the same time, I'm very aware of where they come from, and I do my research and find out like what are these things that will help me to perform. Even when I use certain supplements, especially with protein, I'm trying to be intuitive as well, and I don't use protein or any of the supplements all the time on a regular basis. It's more like, when do I require it more? For example, women actually require more protein than men right after ovulation during the luteal phase. So that's when I probably will try to consume like protein powder, because it's hard to eat it through food sources sometimes.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about, especially our generation, there aren't many women trainers. It's female trainers are very less. It's a male-dominated thing in India, which is pretty sad. But what are the challenges that you faced? And obviously, you've made way for a lot of young female trainers behind you, following you, and they're doing a great job.
Well, honestly, I never thought about myself like that. So it feels a little strange to hear it, but it's nice. It's a good feeling, and I think it's still a journey for me as well. A long way to go. But I do remember how it was when I started. I was working at the hospital, and I was doing part-time fitness trainer, and I did see. I don't think I worked with any other female trainer when I was in that gym. So they were just male trainers, and I saw that females wanted to train with men. Men also wanted to train with men. All different reasons. So I felt that need to prove myself that I'm not any less than any other trainer, female or male. Like, okay, what are these guys doing that everyone wants to train with them? So I could see on social media, like, Devaraj and Swetha and all these really amazing established male trainers doing all these fancy workouts and fancy things with their pull-ups and push-ups and things like that. And like I mentioned earlier, because I come from an athlete background, or I had that upper body strength, I just started posting things on social media, doing all these fancy things, just like all the boys were doing, or work out with the boys. So I think that got a lot of traction. And then suddenly everyone wanted to train with me. It wasn't a problem for females to train with me or males to train with me. So that's the change that I noticed that happened very quickly. But then I also realized that, it's not really the fancy things that I do that will take me higher, or if I want to progress as a coach, I need to educate myself. I need to upgrade myself with knowledge, uh, continuing education. What else is out there? What else is there for me to evolve and grow as a trainer, and make sure that I go through those stages and not just stay comfortable, get comfortable in at wherever I am. So I constantly told myself to just get out of that fancy movement phase and educate myself about things. And even though I came from a medical background, it was very important for me to uh, know what exercise science is, apart from the background that I had. So I luckily I had a lot of good mentors, and then of course from the Animal Flow community, all the MIs. There are 29 of us, including Mike Fitch, who's the creator, around the world, and they have played a big role in guiding us, and both me and Devraj. So did face some of those challenges, and it's still a challenge, to be honest. There aren't too many female trainers, for sure, not just in India, even outside, right? Because it's an intimidating world, like any other. I feel like, there are men. It's very easy for men to look a certain part, especially in the fitness industry, to put on muscle and to get ripped and things like that. It is very hard for women to look a certain way in the fitness industry. But if you don't look the part, the first impression is not there. So it's a constant pressure, and to be around such buffed, ripped, big, huge men is also super intimidating. And I felt that, even though I'm the one who's taking the workshop sometimes. And recently I did some master classes for cult trainers, and they were, at each session there were 100 and 150, and they were, in one of the classes there were 4 women, and the rest of them were all just men, and they were all big and ripped. And I'm not even joking, for a few minutes when I saw, I was intimidated. I'm like, what am I gonna say? Or like, are they even gonna listen? Will they even think that, you get all these self doubts, but then you gotta snap out of it and say, I have to do what I have to do. I already have the knowledge for it, and I'm just gonna go and play the part. So the confidence comes from educating yourself with knowledge, with skill practice. You somewhat become a lot more responsible. With that responsibility, you also tell yourself to be humble, and just pass on the message to everyone who you come across. And the only thing that I can tell female trainers is not to be intimidated, because once you learn, once you educate yourself, once you have the knowledge for it, doesn't matter how you look. Maybe a little bit, work on yourself to just look the part as well. But yeah, just the confidence, once that comes, no one has to be intimidated, and your work will speak for itself. So that's the message I have to give about it.
It was wonderful having this chat with you, Swetha. Thank you so much for joining.
Same here.
And
It was
also,
so much fun just sharing the, you know, similar interests. And I knew everything that I'm talking about, you already know. And you're such an inspiring person and a superhuman, super athlete as well. So just so nice to connect with you here. So thank you, Näck, for having me for this chat. I hope everyone who listens to this is going to have fun as well.
thank you, Swetha, and thank you, Näck, as well. I'll see you all later.